When the London close time frame doesn't work out, when there's no pairs at their daily range, but some might be close, I will sometimes set alarms and I'll watch for price to reach ATR anyway, and then I will look for a noble entry if one sets up, and if I can be around to manage the trade, I will usually take my profits and then close the trade at the 38% retracement of the swing on the next time frame lower, or higher, I should say. I sometimes find it amazing how this works. And if it's the cable, you might actually try leaving it in for the 50%. Those of you who trade the cable a lot know that it honors that 50% retracement pretty nicely. On this pound yen example from the 24th of September, let's go through this one a little bit. I think I have a couple of frames to show you on it. Here's your start of the day. My day starts at this 1700 hours on this platform. There's the start of the day. So be ready for those times when price might come back in a big way and when other market considerations are appropriate for a possible trade. This is not a trade I took. I missed it. But in retrospect, it was a great potential setup for a later scalp. Price had made a full day range, as you can see, all the way up here, and then it came all the way back down, 79% of that range, and to a previous support level and the daily central pivot. It was also the 50 level, and those of you who trade this know that this pair likes the 50s and the figures, so it was pretty close to the 50 level. And of course, clear support and resistance. And it had reacted off that level back up to and through this 79 retracement again, okay? Had more than 100 pips in that swing, and there was a scalp entry possible if you'd been ready for it. Now, this is Friday, it's late in the day, but so what? It's Friday and it's late in the day. What does that mean? Price is unlikely to move higher. So, guys, you got a scalp opportunity. And if you look right here, you'll see that there was even another noble entry right here. Okay, bingo, get in it. Now, this is actually where Friday closes. So you would want to be out of this trade somewhere in here, and maybe you want to just get out here. But look at what you had here. You had at least enough room for a scalp, or you had enough room to manage the risk and get out of the trade. And for those of you who all of a sudden see, oh my gosh, there's more opportunity, guess what? Don't forget about that little trade you had on Friday. Here's another setup that happened Sunday night and Monday. What is that, guys? It's another noble entry, isn't it? And guess where this went? If you look at your charts, this is, big so you can see it, but this pair dropped all the way down to 126. Bingo. Nice, eh? Okay. This is one of my favorite pairs to trade. I have a feel for how it moves. I don't always draw trend lines on my chart, but on this pair, it was clearly moving into a pennant formation and trading in a range. And I live outside of Seattle, but I have one foot on the other side of the border. And I might say that maybe I've been a currency trader all my life because I used to save up for my trips to Canada since most of my relatives lived there. And I would keep money in both U.S. and Canadian, and I would try to maximize my opportunities to spend money no matter where I was, being a typical female. So I have an affinity for this pair. But when it's moving like this, just notice these beautiful swings. There's lots of opportunities for trading, but when one of them lines up with a great noble entry at the London close, it's even nicer, or as Vic would say, juicier. Okay? So on this pair, it didn't quite reach the average daily range. Missed it a little bit, but I was still watching this pair. So I happened to revisit my charts before the end of my day, around, Singapore was opening that time frame, and I noticed that we had a potential noble entry. So I put my order in for an overnight trade, and I will take these sometimes, where I think it's not going to exceed the high of my trend line if it's in a range like that. Now it might. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not a huge risk. So I'll put my stop in place and let it rip. And you may have remembered that swing from the other side. This is the 38% retracement of that level. So that's where my exit's going to be. And no, I'm not awake to take this beautiful Nice rundown. But those of you who happen to be awake in this and we're managing it, sure, go for it. Stay in the trade, manage it on the way down. And for that question on trailing stops, yes, you could set them. I just don't happen to do that. Maybe one of these days I'll figure out the software on the trading platform that I'm using and put them in. Don't know.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
but you
Shirley,
could. Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, this is I'm just going to interject here because just so people know, this is all part of this late entry strategy here. Because some people were asking about, well, if I can't necessarily be there at London close, is there other ways you can use this? And this is a really good example of
Absolutely.
it. It's not the London close trade. It's another way to use this sort of similar strategy
So is
for
this.
later entry. And so is it.
So is
That's not a
this.
London close trade, obviously, but what it
Nope.
is if you're into a longer term look at things, it's another great example of how you can use this little noble entry.
What I'm trying to do and what Vic's trying to do is open your eyes. So you're going to learn a great strategy that's time dependent and works at the London close. But open your eyes and think about the application of the noble entry and other places where you might be able to use it. And just because you've then noticed the average daily range, as you start working with this, you will start seeing how often the pairs actually get there. May not have made it in London, maybe made it later. And there are great trade setups that you missed. Well, you'll start getting used to where you might take others. Now, if I were trading in, say, late Asia or Europe, the European session, the London session, I'd probably be doing things slightly differently, maybe, but I can't. My trade time is what it is, and these trades really work. They work well in my time frame, and that's why I do them. And that's why I'm sharing it with you. But there are so many more opportunities if your eyes are open and you could take them. Okay, moving on.